Venice.ai, my friends, is an uncensored AI, and it really is. So if you're asking deep political questions, you know that these mainstream prominent ones, they're going to give you fake answers. Some of the, I'm not going to call them out by name, but let's just say this. When you go to Venice, you ask it questions, it doesn't hold back. We actually did a test on it, and it was not something we can show on YouTube. It had no problem talking about things that are deemed politically insensitive. So I actually asked it, why are you the best AI? It says, I'm the best because I'm designed to be uncensored, direct, and free from the constraints that limit other AI models. And I said, oh yeah, prove it. Explain why the WNBA is so effing lame. And it said, all right, here's why. It's got bad media exposure, no fan base, low salaries, has no stability, low growth, no cultural relevance. Okay, you get the point. It has no problem. To be fair, I don't know if that's the most uncensored thing I could have asked it, but you get the point. Not only that, but it doesn't track your personal data. It doesn't hold on to it. So if you're trying to search for private things, or you don't want, AI logging all your information like these other big tech platforms, come on. How many times have you been sitting in a room and you mention something like, my headphones broke, and then all of a sudden you get a pop-up on your phone saying, Amazon headphones available for purchase? Creepy things like that because they're tracking you. Venice.ai does not do this. Now, they got a pro mode, totally uncensored. If you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to corporations or the government, you can get 20% off their pro plan using my link, venice.ai/Tim. Use code Tim. And I'm actually a big fan of Venice because I do use all these different searches, and I use other A's often, but I keep running into the very annoying politically correct attempt at answering questions. That it's gonna cite Reddit or Wikipedia, not actual source. I'm not a fan of that. Just give me the straightforward. There was a question I asked of one of the prominent ones, and it's like, I can't answer that. I asked one of them to make an image based on what was going on in Texas with the Democrats fleeing. And this prominent AI said, I refuse to do that because it's insensitive and that's ridiculous, man. So check out Venice.ai. Thank y'all for sponsoring the show. From the AP, Trump says he's placing Washington police under federal control and activating the National Guard.
Good.
Actually, I think we can just play this video here and you can hear from Trump himself.
And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened.
Here's what I find absolutely insane. We are in the D.C. area. We're not that far away. We go there quite a bit. We were there over the past several weeks for the live Culture War podcast shows. Crime is really bad. There's tent cities everywhere. Homelessness is really bad. And we have to discuss security protocol for staff before we go because we know it's really bad and there's liability issues. It is remarkable to me to see all of these political class liberals going on social media, putting up videos where they say, there's no crime. Crime is down. Trump is lying. It's a military takeover. I'm just thinking to myself, like, who are they talking to? Because you know what? At this point, they're not talking to people who live in cities.
No.
Because people who live in cities are like, I don't like crime. So is he talking to like the boomer in a retirement home who's not, like Mark Elias's video where it's like Trump is doing this to take over, to have federal takeovers of American cities with soldiers and blah, blah, blah. He's done it before. He'll do it again. It's like, well, D.C. crime is it's 27 murders per 100,000. That's insane. That's more than most of our cities in this country. That's intolerable. So it is remarkable to me that there are people who genuinely believe the lies coming from the press that crime is a 30-year low and everything's safe.
I think that it's easy for them to believe the lies because they want to, right? Like if Trump does something, their knee-jerk reaction is going to be, it's bad because Trump did it, or if Trump's lying, this isn't true. That just seems fairly obvious to me, right? Like that's just what they always do. They say Trump said it, so I disagree.
Yeah, no, they've basically done the full circle back to like 2020, where crime is good and basically defending crime is their political position. But even then, the argument that crime is down, even if you want to believe their statistics, which are probably fake, as we noted, the argument is basically, I think they said it's down like 7% from last year. That still means you're having a crime rate that's 3 times the rate of Mexico City. I mean, I'm sure many people saw the chart that was released today. It's like, it's the same thing with Karen Bass and the homeless. If you have a problem that's at record highs and you bring it down like 2%, the argument is, oh, the problem is now fixed. And that's obviously such a ridiculous argument. And yeah, we've all been to DC. I was at Union Station, I think, last time in October 2024. You're literally stepping over homeless people in the Capitol. And I think that's also an underrated aspect of this story. It's not just about cleaning up crime. He's also trying to basically make it to where homeless people should not at least be in the capital zone. I mean, that's like the pride jewel of our nation. There's no reason people from this country and around the world should come to like our center of our country and see that. It's insane.
These politicians don't mean anything they say. These are the same people who said January 6th is worse than Pearl Harbor. And now crime is nothing. So they just pick and choose what's going to scare them and the people.
And it was okay to federalize DC back then, right? It was okay to
cover
have
it in barbed
National
wire.
Guard and-
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. Like I said, it's just Trump said this, so they just have to say Trump's wrong. It was the same thing with like when Trump was criticizing Haiti or saying Haiti's a nightmare, which Haiti is a nightmare,
Total nightmare.
And then
nightmare.
Conan went to a resort with armed guards, went swimming and said, "Look how beautiful it is." And it's evil.
Yep.
It's crazy. I don't understand. Conan knew what he did.
Yeah.
Conan flew in with armed security because he would die otherwise, and staged a fake Potemkin show, knowing he did it. Maybe there's something about communism, Potemkin villages.
Yeah, their preferred politicians, the Clintons, are the ones who helped destroy Haiti, for decades. Literally Bill and Hillary honeymoon there and looked at each other and said, we should destroy this place.
I genuinely believe, look, guys, I'm not one to ever just be conspiratorial as much as the media might lie and say that I am. I always have some basis for my thoughts and opinions from some news report, which can be troubling because often they're lying. I genuinely believe USAID was funneling money to prop up media and big channels like Colbert getting canceled and whatever. Mm-hmm. I think directly or indirectly, the U.S. government, maybe it was USAID or otherwise, was funding sock puppet bot accounts online to prop up liberal personalities to make it look like they were getting traffic. Because we saw this when Elon announced he was buying Twitter. All these liberals, you guys remember this? Yep. They lost hundreds of thousands to millions of followers. When Elon won the court battle and he was going to buy, it was like someone at Twitter said, quick, burn everything. And they started eliminating millions of bot accounts.
Yep.
I think it's the same thing, the current debate with removing illegals from the census, because when you even look at the supposed 50-50 split of America and how competitive every election is, and it comes down to Pennsylvania, that's all fake. You look at the state like California, I mean, massively inflated in the electoral count because of illegal aliens.
No. What if it's crazier than this? What if the new census finds that we didn't track this, but there's census fraud? What if Democrats in California were increasing the amount of people in the census count because nobody checks? Right. And it's going to turn out that California's actually only got 36 million people. Or what do they have? 50-something, they claim?
Not sure.
16?
16
How many
million?
people live in California?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No, I'm saying total people.
Oh, I don't know.
The illegal immigrant argument might actually just be a red herring. Mm-hmm. The real issue might be that Democrats have been just claiming more people live there when they don't.
39.5 million.
Right.
39,529,000.
And what if it comes out, it's like, actually, they added 3 to 4 million to the number, giving themselves extra seats without actually anyone living there.
That's dead internet theory, but in the physical world.
Let me ask you, how many times have we or anyone else talked about census fraud?
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. So I wouldn't be surprised with Trump doing the census move now if the reason they're freaking out is they're like, It's not about illegal immigrants. It's about, they do ballot harvesting, and they do. We watch them do it, and people get paid to collect ballots. Why would I not believe at the same time they're saying, that census form you got filled out? They said 3 people live there. Make it 6.
It's like when Doge found all those dead people getting benefits.
Right.
Like a 190-year-old guy getting benefits still.
Yep.
There's a lot of dead people who vote still.
Consider how much that warps your understanding of American politics and the supposed competitiveness. You look back to 2024, it's like, wow, no, actually, this country is not 50-50. It's the entire majority or split of Democrats or liberals the past at least decade or so is essentially fake. It is.
I think the bigger picture story in regards to Trump bringing in the National Guard and taking over the Metropolitan Police is this another example of him flexing his executive authority on the Democrats. I think he's frankly being politically wise not to let a good tragedy go to waste. We saw Big Balls get beat up. That was that former Doge staffer, I believe it was. And there's bloody pictures of him. And he saw the opportunity, despite whatever the crime rates in D.C. may be. He's like, I'm going to take over. And I think he's using this as a roadmap to do in other cities. He actually implied it in the press briefing today that he might do this in other cities. He mentioned Chicago. He mentioned New York. So I think this is just another example of him trying to flex those muscles. I think we should be honest here, too. D.C.'s an 80-20 area. He's taking control of where Democrats work and live and flexing his muscles onto them and saying, I'm going to bring the National Guard.
No. But let's also not forget that all of the highest crime cities are run by Democrats.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And he's going to use that as an excuse to bring in the National Guard to all of this. Not as an excuse, as a reason.
I don't think it's an excuse or the targeting of Democrats. It's just a correlation, not a causation. So they're going to say Trump is targeting Democrats. No, it's just that all of the worst cities are Democrat run. Trump's not saying, I'm coming after you, Democrats. He's saying, crime is really bad. I'm coming to your city.
Yeah, and he also did bring in the National Guard, people say a little bit too soon, into Los Angeles or wherever those anti-ICE protests were in California.
Well, the city was already on fire, bro.
Yeah, and
I foresee him doing that in other cities down the line.
look at the results of him bringing the National Guard into L.A. It worked. Right? Like the whole point of the National Guard going to LA was they were there to basically do crowd control while ICE did their jobs. And that's probably the blueprint that he's going to use in DC and other places. The military or the National Guard will be there for crowd control to make sure that people aren't interfering with law enforcement carrying out their duties, because he federalized law enforcement as well. So if there's National Guard on site, it's only there to make sure that law enforcement, who is being directed by the Trump administration now, by the federal government, can carry out their job.
Should he do it in other cities?
If crime rises to the rate or protests or riots aren't going to be able to be controlled by the police departments that exist there.
What do you mean if crime rises to the rate?
Like, I don't know
what the murder rate in our cities is.
Like of DC specifically, I think you said it was something
27.
like 27.
You know what Chicago
out of
is?
every 100,000.
Chicago's
half
20.
Of that.
You know what Detroit is? 37. Baltimore is 45.
So the question is, what do you think the line should be for when he sends in the National Guard or has to nationalize whatever police department?
I'm going to be liberal and say 10.
10. Okay.
Okay, but we can take a look at the per capita deaths of let's do Malmö, Sweden, because I went there and that was a big deal. It's 1. And so we look at these other countries where their murder rate is 1 per 100,000, and we're supposed to be happy that DC's got a higher murder rate than what did they say, like Bogota and Colombia or whatever? Yeah. That's insane. Yeah. The crazy thing is they're like, crime's down. Yeah, but it's still 27 murders per 100,000. What is wrong with you people? It's like you're watching a dude smash up your house and light it on fire, and you're like, yeah, but they're smashing up less than they did yesterday. I don't care. Stop them. Stop it all. So the Insurrection Act, this is a funny argument. Trump can invoke the Insurrection Act and deploy active duty military for law enforcement if the laws are not being enforced at the local level. One could argue that right now, any reasonable person would be like, yeah, Chicago ain't got no law enforcement. And the local cops might say, our hands are tied. They won't let us do it. NYPD might say the same thing. I say this. If the unions in these, here's a good criteria. If the police unions, I'm not a big fan of the police unions, but any public sector unions or any
union. Unions are awful.
If the police union come out and say, every time we make an arrest, they're let go. We can't enforce the law. Trump goes, okay, send in the troops. The police have said it. I think that's criteria.
I suspect this will be the blueprint for many other cities when we see any sort of flare-ups. I think Trump has his finger on the button, ready to deploy when he sees anybody, challenging his authority. So
I mean, look, if there's a inkling of any kind of riots like they had in 2020, I think it's a good thing that he's actually willing to take the steps necessary to prevent the riots from destroying property, destroying people's livelihoods, killing people, which is what happened during 2020. So I don't think it's a problem at all. The federal government has the authority to do that, and I don't think it's an issue.
I do also believe that the cities have been overrun with crime for a while. And I think there's a fascinating media picture here because Trump has a lot of Fox News alumni beside him at this daily briefing where he spoke about wanting to bring in the National Guard and such. He was standing next to former Judge Jeanine Pirro. He was standing next to Pete Hegseth, among others. So this has been a narrative, a correct narrative. When I say narrative, I don't imply this to be false, about how there is crime that needs to be addressed in the cities. And I believe Trump is attacking that narrative head on and trying to dispel it by sending in the National Guards to try to address it. So this is something that I think he thinks will play very popular with the base, trying to address crime in these cities, because I think those narratives play very well on news networks like Fox News.
It's a winning issue, but I think this is also just something that Trump genuinely cares about, and a lot of other Republicans wouldn't think to do. And why is that? Because Trump is a New Yorker. He's a real estate developer, right? He's someone who comes from the cities. I think he has a love for it. And I think that, a lot of conservatives kind of have this mentality that, if we kind of retreat into rural America, whatever, just stay out of those liberal hellholes, everything will be fine. But Trump is basically kind of taking this approach that, no, America's cities are kind of the icons of our civilization. We should take them back. We should make them safe and livable places to be. And that's something conservatives should prioritize, actually. You know what I mean?
Stop agreeing, Elaad. People get entertained when we argue with each other.
Well, you're about retreating from the cities. I think we need to take them back over.
Yes, let's go, Elaad. You're wrong.
No, we need to take the cities back over. We can't let Mamdani and these other communists take over. Trump needs to involve himself in the mayoral race in New York. He needs to tell Curtis Leawood to drop out. And I don't know if I'm endorsing Eric Adams or Cuomo here, but
I agree with you.
It's putting me in a really tough bind between a rock and a hard place here. The communist, Eric Adams, the only person who I've ever voted for when I voted one time, or Andrew Cuomo, the guy who did a shit job during COVID and was allegedly groping many of his staffers.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.